I hope you all are doing that. And then मैंने ये भी बोला था कि you should start reading up, and then we will have a revision in this lecture. So there are few questions जो मैंने as a fill in the blanks or some like one word जैसे लिखे हैं. सब क्वेश्चन स्लाइड्स पे है. आई विल रीड वन बाय वन. तुम लोग इधर रेज योर हैंड्स और यू कैन जस्ट पोस्ट इट इन योर chat box. Okay, so yeah, so dash is the first plant hormone to be discovered.
Auxin.
Yeah, so it is auxin. Gibberellins are synthesized from
Mevalonic acid.
yeah, correct. Now wait, now you don't answer. I will ask someone to answer. Okay, yeah, Kaushal Sharma, are you there?
हाँ सर.
Yeah, बताओ. Gibberellins were isolated from
Gibberellera fujicurea.
yes, correct, good, thank you. Then Rupali Zade, dash is the precursor of IAA, that is indole A acetic acid. Rupali, yes, Rupali is not there, I think. Sanika Zanke, Sanjana, no. So basically these people have started the class, but I think they are not there. Simran, dash is a precursor of IAA, that is a natural auxin present in a plant. Okay, it is a simple gaseous hydrocarbon because ethylene. I think you all know what is the formula of ethylene. Ethylene is what? Alkane or alkyne?
Alkyne.
Alkyne.
Yeah, that is correct. So it is a simple gaseous hydrocarbon which plays essential role in the fruit ripening. So most of the time जब भी हम लोग ethylene की बात करते हैं तो it comes the term comes in association with the fruit ripening, mainly in terms of like at the time of I think summer. तब ना mangoes का ripening के लिए it is used for ripening of most of the fruits. That is not like a peculiar function as such. बट समर के टाइम में ना बहुत ज्यादा इसका अमाउंट बढ़ जाता है. इट बिकम्स अगर हम लोग उसको जबरदस्ती पका रहे हैं तो देन दैट बिकम्स क्वाइट डैमेजिंग. तो इवन वी ऑल कीप ऑन आस्किंग कि अरे नेचुरल पका हुआ है या आर्टिफिशियली पकाया हुआ है, एंड ऑल दैट थिंग्स कम इन अ पिक्चर. सो आई थिंक तुम लोगों ने कभी ना कभी तो ये बात सुना ही रहेगा अबाउट इथिलीन और मैंगोज. ओके, यू मस्ट हैव नॉट नोन अबाउट द वर्ड इथिलीन एट दैट टाइम, बट आर्टिफिशियल राइपनिंग is something I think हम लोग सब अभी थोड़ा बहुत aware है. So it is the ethylene is actually required for the ripening of a fruit naturally. Okay, so this particular ethylene is actually obtained from a particular source which is called as a ethyphone. So ethyphone, this is a typical structure of ethyphone. It is nothing but a 2-chloroethyl phosphoric acid. So this is a structure of phosphoric acid, P double bond O, OH, OH, and then one bond is giving the ethyl, at which ethyl is attached and to which chlorine group is attached. Okay, so ethyphone is a source of ethylene, which is nothing but a 2-chloroethyl phosphoric acid chemically, and it produces ethylene. How? So whenever ethyphone dissolves in a water, it releases ethylene. Okay, so that's how ethylene is produced, or we can say synthesized. और ये कहाँ कहाँ पे प्रोड्यूस होता है? So ethylene is synthesized in roots, shoots, apical meristem and in a ripening fruit. So these are the locations at which ethylene are produced. So if you just note down, you will see the location for synthesis, or you can say the place at which this particular hormones are synthesized are mostly common. Even in a auxin, it was root and shoot tip. Even in the case of ethylene, it is root and shoot tip. So just try to find out the similarities also, because now it will help you to keep in mind, because these topics are quite uh, समथिंग मेमोरी बेस्ड टॉपिक, तुम लोग को याद रखना पड़ेगा, एंड यू शुड नॉट मेस अप कि इसका पार्ट वहाँ पे उसका पार्ट वहाँ पे, इट शुड नॉट हैपन. सो वी हैव टू मेक अ प्रॉपर नोट्स एंड सो दैट you can understand things and you will be able to write it down in your exam. Okay, so now this is the just a basic background information about ethylene कि वो क्या है. It is a gaseous growth regulator. उसका केमिकल स्ट्रक्चर क्या है, उसका सोर्स क्या है, और वो कहाँ पे सिंथेसाइज किया जाता है. Now if you go back and look at the history कि कौन कौन से बंदे ने कब कब इसको डिस्कवर किया था. So in 1924, Denny was the first scientist who actually said that ethylene is effective in a fruit ripening. After that, just a minute. Yeah. So after that, Denny के बाद then one more scientist came whose name was Crocker. So in 1930, Crocker proposed that ethylene is the plant hormone responsible for fruit ripening. So it was on the same track जिस पर Denny था. Denny ने भी बोला था कि it is effective in a fruit ripening. Crocker ने भी उसको आगे आके support किया. And finally, in 1934, Gannett, who proposed that, or who said that plants are actually naturally synthesizing this particular hormone called as ethylene. So these are the three scientists who had reported about the ethylene in history, and that's how we have some significant data with us जहाँ पे prove किया गया है कि ethylene is involved in a fruit ripening, or it is responsible for a fruit ripening like conscience and all. Okay. After that, let's now come to the physiological effects and the applications of the ethylene. Okay. So there are 7 major applications, or we can say physiological effects here. Of which, if you all can see, जो starting का 2 points है जिसको मैंने red में लिखा है, and all other are in a normal black color form. So why I did this? Because if you see the first 2 points, I will talk about them. So the first point, promotes ripening of fruits like banana, apples, and mangoes. Okay, so let's forget about the examples further, but just the major point is its major function is promoting the ripening of a fruit. Okay, so that is one of the major function which the ethylene does. And the second function is it actually stimulates the initiation of lateral roots in plants and break the dormancy of buds and seeds. So if you can see all of these functions which I just mentioned about ripening, or about lateral root formation, or about breaking down the dormancy, are something in a positive way we want. It is helping the plant for a growth purpose, like not growth purpose, but in a some positive function we can say. But then ethylene is also involved in a inhibitory function. So what are the inhibitory functions? It actually accelerates the abscission activity in leaves. So the abscission layer will get formed, and it will help in the shading of the fruit or leaves or the flowers. Okay. Then it also inhibits the growth of lateral buds and causes the apical dominance and retards flowering. Okay. So this is something even auxin had shown, right? So it inhibits the growth of lateral buds. So no lateral buds will able to form. and it will just cause apical dominance. So only apical buds will keep on growing, and then ultimately there will be no flowering, no fruiting. Only the plant will keep on growing in one direction. Then it is involved in the enhancement of a process like senescence of plant organ. What is senescence? Aging. Matlab, it is actually promotes the aging of a plant. And then it also causes epinasty, which is also called as drooping of leaves and flower. Now you will say, what is epinasty? Epinasty क्या होता है? So epinasty is something like कि कोई भी plant grow हो रहा है and because of the weight ना उसके जो flowers or we can say fruits और उसके जो leaves रहेंगे ना they start moving downward. तो उसका जो they will form a typical downward curve. I will show you diagram exactly how epinasty looks like. Okay, but then just keep in mind epinasty is caused by a hormone which is ethylene. Okay, and then last function of this particular ethylene is it actually increases the activity of the enzyme chlorophylase. Okay, so I think you can relate chlorophylase, something like chlorophyll plus S. So this is an enzyme which actually degrades the chlorophyll, which is a green pigment in a plant. So अगर हम लोग chlorophyll को degrade कर रहे हैं using this particular enzyme called as chlorophylase, obviously the plant will not remain in a greening color and it will cause degreening of plants. So it is called as degreening effect in bananas and citrus fruit. Yeah, citrus fruits are something, the fruits like जिसमें citric acid होता है. Okay, they are all called as citrus fruits. So, अगर example देना है तो lemon is a citrus fruit, oranges are the citrus fruit, mossambi, I don't know the English name, mossambi is also citrus fruit. So जिसमें भी citric acid present रहता है उन सबको हम लोग citrus fruit बोलते हैं. Okay, the best example
Yes,
is the
sir.
oranges and lemons. Okay, so now यहाँ पे मैंने बोला था कि something called as epinasty, right? So I will show you one diagram जहाँ पे epinasty दिखाया है. Yeah, so let's say this is a typical plant structure जो center में दिखाया है. Okay, so when I say epinasty, you can see the movement of this two particular branch like, or we can say leaf structure is like moving downward. So epinasty is a downward curvature of leaves or any leaves or fruits or flowers due to differential growth rate. So कभी कभी उसका weight ज़्यादा हो जाता है and they start moving downward. So you can see the downward curvature, and this is called as epinasty. In case of hyponasty, there is an upward bending of the leaves. Okay, so in this particular case, we don't need to read about the hyponasty, but I am just telling you hyponasty का मतलब because generally epinasty and hyponasty are like opposite to each other. So, but then keep in mind ethylene causes epinasty and not hyponasty. So in case of hyponasty, there is actually upward movement. In case of epinasty, there is a downward curvature of a leaves or a flowers or a fruits due to differential growth rates. Okay, so I just wanted you to look at the difference. तो यहाँ पे it is moving downward, you can see downward curvature, और यहाँ पे it is moving upwards. Okay, so this is called as epinasty. So I hope now you are clear with the hormone ethylene. So you just need to keep 4 points in the mind as an introduction, which is ethylene is involved in a उसका introduction that it is a gaseous hormone, it is simply a hydrocarbon and having a role in a fruit ripening. Its source is a ethaphone and it is synthesized in root, shoot, apical meristem and ripening of fruit. After that, you have to talk about the function. So obviously ripening of fruit is a major function, then stimulates the initiation of lateral root, breaks dormancy, accelerates official activity, accelerates or enhances the senescence activity, promotes epinasty, also involved in the degreening effect. So you need to write down in a point-wise manner and you will get full marks. Okay. So that is all about ethylene. I hope you understood मैंने क्या बोला वो. If there is any doubt, you can ask me, or else we can move forward with the abscisic acid part. Any doubt with ethylene?
No, sir.
Yeah, I think किसी ने तो no बोला, किसी ने तो हाँ बोला तो if or maybe मैंने गलत सुना. So if anyone is having any doubt, you can ask. Okay,
No.
great. So there is no doubt. So let's move ahead without wasting time. So abscisic acid. I think the name itself. अभी तक हमने ये word बहुत बार सुना है. Abscission layer or formation of abscesses, or let's like something which is like related to shading. And in this particular word, you can see abscisic acid. मतलब it is something involved in that particular function, that is formation of abscission layer or shading part. Okay, so this is a natural growth inhibiting hormone. Okay, so abscisic acid is a natural growth inhibiting hormone. It is also called as stress hormone. Okay, so please keep this in mind. I will talk about it in a later slide, but just in the intro part, I want you to understand this. This is also called as stress hormone. So if we go and look back at the history, then there were two scientists who were working on abscisic acid, we can say independently. So first one was the Carnes and Endicott, जिन्होंने 1961 and 1965 के बीच में they were working, and what they showed, the shading of the cotton balls. So we all know cotton plant, and it forms typical cotton balls as a fruit. So and this particular cotton balls get shed off after a particular time, right? जब उनका growth पूरा हो जाता है. So this shading of a cotton balls was due to a chemical substance which is called as abscissin 1 and abscissin 2. Okay, so these are some chemicals produced by the plant which were involved in a shading of a cotton balls. And at the same time, in 1963, Waring was another scientist who actually isolated a substance from a birds of the acer that can induce a bird dormancy and name it dormant. Okay, so you can see यहाँ पे it was a shading function और यहाँ पे it was inducing the bird dormancy. So actually I don't know what is the name of acer in Marathi or Hindi, but then this is something I found on internet. This is like something it looks like. Okay, so I hope you understood that. So this is some what Waring did. He actually isolated a substance which was able to induce a bird dormancy and name it as a dormant. Okay, because it was inducing dormancy, it was called the dormant. So you can see the two important function और दो scientists के group ने किया था. एक तो था shading का, which is you can say abscissin a layer formation की वजह से, and the second was the inducing dormancy. Okay, so these two identical and these two chemicals were quite identical in their function and structure, and then they were named as abscisic acid. Okay, so you can see this is the typical structure of abscisic acid. It is sesquiterpenoid. Okay, so and this particular abscisic acid is also synthesized, like we can say its precursor is mevalonic acid. It is synthesized from mevalonic acid. If you remember, gibberellins were also synthesized from mevalonic acid. Okay, because they were also diterpenoic acid. So the chemical structure or the skeleton that is same, but then there are some changes in some functional group or some bonding pattern which makes them different. Okay, and it is synthesized in leaves, fruits, roots, and seeds. And chemically, if you want to find a structure, then it is a 15 carbon sesquiterpenoid. So this is a typical structure of a abscisic acid. You can count down the carbon. This is the 15 carbon structure. Okay. So now what is the role of this particular abscisic acid, or let's say what are the applications of this particular abscisic acid? So it actually promotes शेडिंग. ओके, शेडिंग मतलब झड़ना. तो वी ऑल नो आफ्टर अ पर्टिकुलर पॉइंट पेड़ के जो पत्ते होते हैं वो झड़ने लगते हैं, बिकॉज उनका लाइफ स्पैन मतलब वो पहले ग्रीन रहते हैं, बहुत अच्छे से हेल्दी रहते हैं, आफ्टर सम टाइम दे बिकम्स येलो, येलो इसके बाद वो झड़ जाते हैं. इवन ड्यूरिंग दिसंबर देयर इज अ शेडिंग ऑफ मोस्ट ऑफ द लीव्स हैपेंस. So it means पत्तों का झड़ना, even flowers and fruits का झड़ना, it is called as shedding. Okay, so it happens due to formation of the abscission layer, और abscission layer formation में involved होते हैं abscisic acid hormone. Okay, so As I mentioned, it promotes abscission of a leaves and induces the dormancy in many plants. So these are the two major functions of abscisic acid, that is promoting the abscission and inducing the dormancy. Okay. Then it also controls the dormancy in birds and seeds by inhibiting the growth processes. So it will actually help to maintain the dormancy so that the plant will only be metabolically active when the favorable conditions are there. So the controlling of this particular dormancy period is done by this particular hormone called as abscisic acid. Okay. Then comes the next point that it actually accelerates the process of senescence, that is aging of leaves, flowers, and fruit. Then it is actually, you can see जो भी हमने देखे थे functions in the case of auxins, cytokinins and gibberellins, which were the growth promoting hormone, उसका पूरा opposite things you will observe in case of abscisic acid. So now it is inhibiting the cell division, it actually accelerates the senescence, it inhibits and delays the cell division and cell elongation and suppresses the cambium activity, which is by inhibiting the mitosis in a vascular cambium. So basically, cambium is required for the secondary growth in a plant. और अगर हमने उसका एक्टिविटी इनहिबिट कर दिया तो obviously there will be no secondary growth as well. Then I think you all must know, or at least somewhere in the past you have heard something about stomata and transpiration. So what is transpiration? Transpiration is the evaporation of water from the aerial part of the plants. The water gets evaporated. So this particular process is quite complex and includes influx and efflux of some certain ions. It also includes stomata, the guard cells, and all. The typical diagram in the bottom. Okay. So this particular abscisic acid is also involved in this particular process. Now how? Actually, it causes efflux of a potassium ions from the guard cells, okay, and it results in a closure of stomata. So now what do I mean by efflux? Efflux matlab transport of ions out of the cells. When I say influx, it is transport of ions into the cells. But in this case, what is happening? In case of guard cells, now because of the abscisic acid, there is a efflux of potassium ions from the guard cells and it actually results in a closure of stomata. Now stomata close ho gaya, so obviously there are very less chances that the transpiration will take place. That's why abscisic acid is also known as an anti-transpirant agent, okay, which prevents the transpiration, okay. And as I mentioned in a very first point, it is also called as stress hormone because it is induced because okay, it is also called a stress hormone because it is actually allowing the plant to survive at a very adverse environmental condition because it can induce dormancy. So अगर कोई भी seed से, so it can induce dormancy in a seed or any bird, and then whenever favorable conditions come back, the plant can grow. But it is actually stress hormone and it induces the plant to bear the adverse environmental condition. So they can ask you why abscisic acid is called as stress hormone. Why? Because it actually induces the plant to bear the adverse environmental condition. Okay, that's why it is called as stress hormone. And the last point is it inhibits flowering in a long day plant but stimulates flowering in a short day plant. Okay, so actually we have not read about the photoperiodism part, or we can say we have not studied about the photoperiodism part. That's why I won't go in detail about the long day plant or the short day plant. But if you remember, even in the last lecture I had mentioned that कि लॉन्ग डे प्लांट क्या होती है जिसमें हम लोग मैक्सिमम टाइम प्लांट्स को एक्सपोज करते हैं टू द सनलाइट एंड द स्मॉल टाइम इज लाइक प्लांट्स आर नॉट एक्सपोज टू द सनलाइट. इन केस ऑफ शॉर्ट डे प्लांट्स हम लोग प्लांट को सनलाइट को बहुत शॉर्ट टाइम के लिए एक्सपोज करते हैं एंड लॉन्ग टाइम इज इन द डार्क. So actually now the time we are exposing the plant to the sunlight, or we can say the duration for which the sunlight is available for the plant actually matters in different functioning. So flowering is an important process जहाँ पे sunlight plays an important role. So it was observed that abscisic acid actually inhibits the flowering in a long day plant, जहाँ पे हम लोग plants को larger time के लिए expose कर रहे to the sunlight, but actually in the same time it actually stimulates flowering in a short day plant. Okay, so this is something about abscisic acid. So basically overall point what I could say here as a bottom line, that abscisic acid inhibits the flowering. Okay, so I hope you understood. तो हमने क्या देखा in abscisic acid? It is a growth inhibitory hormone. Yeah, it is a natural growth inhibiting hormone. There were two different studies. एक ने abscisic and 1 and 2 discover किया था, which was with respect to the shedding of a cotton balls. एक ने dormosynthesis study किया था, and it was named as dormit. But both were then commonly called as abscisic acid. It is synthesized from mevalonic acid. It is synthesized in, the location is what? Leaves, fruits, roots and seeds. And chemically it is a 15 carbon compound which is called as sesquiterpenoid. Okay, and then functions, two main functions are there. It promotes abscission and it induces dormancy. It also controls the dormancy. It accelerates the senescence. It inhibits and delays the cell division and cell elongation. It acts as an anti-transparent. It is a stress hormone, and it also inhibits the flowering in a long day plant. सर मार्टिंग क्या होता है? ये तुमने कहाँ पे सुना? बिकॉज आई डोंट थिंक कि मैंने मार्टिंग कहीं पे मेंशन किया है, बट इट इज वन ऑफ द प्रोसेस इन अ बियर प्रोडक्शन जितना मुझे पता है. बट या तुम बताओ, तुम कौन से कंटेक्स्ट में बोल रहे हो?
सर वो एक बुक में पढ़ा था इसलिए पूछ रहा था.
हाँ, बट कौन से, मतलब क्या टॉपिक में पढ़ा था, ऐसे पूछ रहा हूँ.
ये हॉर्मोन्स में था, जिबरलिन के टॉपिक में था.
मार्टिंग, एक मिनट, तुम्हारे बुक में दिया है कि आई विल जस्ट ओपन इट अप एंड वी कैन रीड अबाउट इट, बिकॉज आई डोंट थिंक.
जिबरलिन के फंक्शन में ऐसा लिखा हुआ है कि इट प्रमोट्स माल्टिंग प्रोसेस.
लेट मी सी. Yeah, one more question was there. I will just see.
ये इस बुक में नहीं है.
ये बुक में नहीं है क्या तुम्हारे?
नहीं सर.
ओके, सो जो भी बुक में, तुम मुझे उसका स्क्रीनशॉट मेल कर सकते हो, फिर बुक मेल, मतलब कुछ भी फोटो मेल कर सकते हो, क्या होगा प्लांट्स में. तो सी ट्रांसपिरेशन ना, कभी कभी वो फायदा भी होता है, कभी कभी इट्स अ problematic process for a plant as well, because continuously uska water is getting evaporated, right? But then one thing is good, that transpiration is a controlled process in a plant. So generally we don't want over transpiration to happen, because हम लोग को plants में water available होना चाहिए. So अगर transpiration नहीं हो रहा है तो कुछ नहीं, normal functioning will happen. But whenever there is a temperature conditions change होगा, या फिर some environmental conditions will change with respect to hotness, or we can say temperature, humidity and all, so there will be changes in the transpiration conditions. So the one, I think just one chapter before this, usme all these transpiration theories and all are mentioned. So the plant will function normally. It's not like agar transpiration nahi hoga to there will be some problems in the plant. No, the plant will function normally. Rather it is good for plant in some context to prevent transpiration. Okay, any other thing?
No, sir.
Okay, so that is all about the abscisic acid which I mentioned just now. So thank you, and yeah, before, have a nice day. Tell me if any questions are there in the topic, तुम लोग को जो नहीं समझा है, anything, because I think now we are having 15 minutes extra with us. Topic is khatam. So if there is any topic, any discussion you want to do, not only plant growth but even the previous chapters, inheritance and variations हो सकता. क्या स्टडी कर रहे थे? अबाउट जेनेटिक कोड. हमने ये स्टडी किया था कि हाँ, डीएनए में देयर इज अ पर्टिकुलर सीक्वेंस, एंड दिस सीक्वेंस एक्चुअली have information for a particular protein. Okay, then we know that there are 20 different amino acids which are present in a protein, and ये जो DNA का sequence है that actually codes for a particular protein. Then we got then हम लोग को समझा कि okay, but then there are 20 amino acids और DNA में तो सिर्फ 4 ही न्यूक्लियोटाइड्स रहते हैं जो एक के बाद एक डिफरेंट वे में, रैंडम वे में या फिर in a particular format they are present. Okay, then we were quite confused कि okay, अगर ये 4 ही नाइट्रोजनस बेस है तो how exactly they are कोडिंग फॉर 20 डिफरेंट अमीनो एसिड. तो उसके बाद हम लोगों ने ये टेबल देखा था. तो हमने क्या सोचा कि ओके अगर वो सिंगल कोडन है कि जो एक अमीनो एसिड को कोड कर रहा है, सो वी जस्ट हैव 4 न्यूक्लियोटाइड, तो इट मींस देयर विल बी ओनली 4 अमीनो एसिड. उसके बाद हमने सोचा कि अगर हमने डबलेट कोडन कंसीडर किया, मतलब हर एक कोडन के पास 2 न्यूक्लियोटाइड्स रहेंगे, स्टिल इट विल ओनली फॉर्म 16 अमीनो एसिड. सो ऑब्वियसली देयर हैज टू बी मोर देन 2 nucleotides in a codon which will give us a amino acid. So then we saw that if we consider triplet codon, मतलब एक codon में 3 nucleotides, then we will be getting 64 different amino acids, and this was the table which was showing that the list of 64 codon. Okay, after that हम लोग ने वो देखा था कि हाँ, so उसके बाद it was proved that genetic code is the triplet code, and it was proved by the first scientist who was Crick, जिसने क्या किया था, फ्रेमशिप नोटेशन से वो प्रूव किया था. आफ्टर दैट निरेनबर्ग एंड मैथाई, उन्होंने क्या किया, दे सिंथेसाइज द mRNA which contain only one type of nitrogenous base. So this was the one जो मैंने अभी जस्ट एक्सप्लेन किया था. तो it was.
हेलो सर.
हाँ बोलो
सर, वो पॉइंट म्यूटेशन और फ्रेम शिफ्ट म्यूटेशन एक ही है?
नहीं, पॉइंट म्यूटेशन में क्या हो रहा है, अगर तुम्हारे पास A, तो that A will be replaced by something else. Okay, तो A will be replaced by C और G. That is called as point mutation. सिर्फ एक ही न्यूक्लियोटाइड को हम लोग चेंज कर रहे हैं बेसिकली. ओके, बट इन अ केस ऑफ फ्रेमशिफ्ट म्यूटेशन हम कुछ तो ऐड कर रहे हैं या फिर कुछ तो डिलीट कर रहे हैं, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दिस द एंटायर सीक्वेंस ऑफ डीएनए इज चेंजिंग, इट इज शिफ्टिंग. तो अगर मेरे पास लेट्स से 6 न्यूक्लियोटाइड्स है, उसमें से मैंने थर्ड न्यूक्लियोटाइड कट कर दिया, तो मेरे पास सिर्फ 5 ही न्यूक्लियोटाइड रहेंगे. बट देन आउट ऑफ, अगर मैं सोचूं मेरे पास 6 न्यूक्लियोटाइड्स थे, तो इनिशियली मेरे पास 2 कोडॉन्स थे, बट नाउ आई एम जस्ट हैविंग 5 न्यूक्लियोटाइड्स, आई जस्ट हैव 1 कोडॉन, एंड उसमें भी कोडॉन का पोजीशन, लाइक द कंपोजिशन ऑफ न्यूक्लियोटाइड विल बी चेंजिंग, बिकॉज व्हेन आई वाज हैविंग 6 nucleotides, it was like 1 2 3 will form one codon, 4 5 6 will form another codon. Okay, now I am having, let's say, frame-shift mutation because of a deletion of a third nucleotide. तो क्या होगा, थर्ड न्यूक्लियोटाइड जो था मेरे सीक्वेंस का डिलीट हो जाएगा. सो नाउ व्हाट आई एम हैविंग 1 2 4 एंड 5 6, तो 5 न्यूक्लियोटाइड रहेंगे. बट क्या होगा, अभी 1 2 and 4 will form one particular codon, and then 5 and 6 will just remain as it is. So जहाँ पे थर्ड कोडॉन कुछ और था, वहां पे अभी मेरा फोर्थ कोडॉन हो जाएगा. बेसिकली इट इज शिफ्टिंग इन अ फ्रेम. आई विल ट्राई टू गिव एन एग्जांपल. आई थिंक मैंने कहीं पे तो एक्सप्लेन भी किया था ये बात. आई नीड टू चेक दैट, बट आई थिंक कोई ना कोई स्लाइड में वो भी मैंने एक्सप्लेन किया था हाउ द फ्रेम शिफ्ट म्यूटेशन वर्क्स. ओके, सो
हाँ
विल
सर, वो
डिस्कस.
क्लियर हो गया वो.
हाँ, ओके फाइन. सो या, सो लेट्स कम बैक टू दिस पर्टिकुलर थिंग. तो सबसे पहले निरेनबर्ग एंड मैथे ने क्या किया था, उन्होंने सिर्फ एक ही न्यूक्लियोटाइड का बेसिस पे mRNA बनाया था, एंड दैट न्यूक्लियोटाइड वाज uracil. So it was a homopolymer, and then they observed that this particular homopolymer of a uracil then was producing the polypeptide जिसके पास सिर्फ फिनाइलएलानिन वाले अमीनो एसिड्स थे. So इससे मुझे क्या समझा कि phenylalanine is encoded by the codon UUU, okay, which is a triplet of a uracil. So in this way they actually started making, or they actually started studying different codes or codons. So उसके बाद आए डॉक्टर हरगोविंद खुराना. उन्होंने क्या किया, he devised a technique for artificially synthesizing mRNA with a repeated sequence of known nucleotide. तो हम लोग क्या करें, हम लोग आगे mRNA बना रहे हैं विद अ नॉन न्यूक्लियोटाइड. So by using this particular synthetic DNA, or you can say RNA now, Dr. Khurana prepared chains of polyribonucleotides with known repeated sequence of 2 to 3 nucleotides. So now let's say example कि this is the CUC, UCAU, CUC, UCU. ये जो है these are the चार ये.
सर
हाँ
सर आपने स्क्रीन शेयर किया है क्या?
या नो, अरे तुम लोग देख नहीं पा रहे हो क्या?
नहीं सर.
ओके सॉरी,
सर हम लोग टेक्स्ट बुक में देख रहे हैं.
नो प्रॉब्लम, आई विल जस्ट शेयर द स्क्रीन. Yeah, I think now you are able to see, right? So this I was talking कि खोराना ने क्या किया. So he actually devised a technique जहाँ पे उन्होंने कुछ कोडॉन्स का कुछ न्यूक्लियोटाइड्स का कोडॉन्स बनाए थे. So it was CUC, UCU, CUC, UCU. So this resulted in a formation of a polypeptide. तो obviously अगर ये mRNA है तो वो कोई ना कोई प्रोटीन बनाएगा ही. So उन्होंने जब प्रोटीन को स्टडी किया, they observed that this particular mRNA sequence like containing CUC and UCU having two different amino acid placed alternately, और ये कौन से थे? leucine and serine. So from this he explained that CUC actually codes for leucine and UCU actually codes for serine. तो उनका ओवरऑल फंडा और ओवरऑल एम क्या था कि उन लोगों को पता था कि कौन सा कोडॉन कौन से अमीनो एसिड के लिए कोड करता है, एंड फॉर दैट दे वर डूइंग ऑल दिस एक्सपेरिमेंट. ओके, तो साइमल्टेनियसली अगेन ही similarly polypeptide chain with 3 nitrogen base repeats gave polypeptide chain with only 1 amino acid. तो अगर हमने एक ही टाइप का मतलब CUA वाला ही अगर पूरा mRNA बनाया तो it was giving the protein और let's say polypeptide जिसके पास सिर्फ एक ही टाइप का अमीनो एसिड था और जो था leucine. तो यू कैन सी यहाँ पे मेरे पास क्या था? CUC, UCU, CUC, UCU. तो मेरे पॉलीपेप्टाइड में क्या थे? leucine and serine, leucine and serine. बट अगर मेरे mRNA में क्या है? CUA, 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 it will just leucine, 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 and that's what he did. Okay. उसके बाद what happened? Another scientist like the Osho established that the enzyme polynucleotide phosphorylase is actually involved in the polymerization of RNA. So, but then he proved that the polymerization of RNA is not a template dependent, it is a template independent. That is what हम लोग actually इसको synthesize कर सकते हैं in laboratory also by using a particular enzymes. Okay, and what was the enzyme? The polynucleotide phosphorylase. Okay, after that again Nirenberg, Matthew and Osho, इन्होंने मतलब ये लोग ने सबने अलग अलग काम किया था. बाद में आगे सबका वर्क कंबाइन करके they deciphered that all the 64 codons which were in a dictionary of genetic codes for a particular amino acids. However, there are some codons which are not coding for anything and they are called as nonsense codons. So at the end, the overall process actually what they said, during replication and transcription, a nucleic acid is copied to form another nucleic acid. So these two processes are actually based on a complementarity principle. So what is complementarity principle? They mean, so if you remember, in case of replication also, हम लोग ने DNA को पहले unwind किया था and उसको open up किया था. So we had one leading template, one lagging template. And based on this leading template and lagging template, हम लोग क्या कर रहे थे? हम लोग नया न्यूक्लियोटाइड स्ट्रैंड बना रहे थे जिसको हमने बोला था लीडिंग स्ट्रैंड एंड लॉगिंग स्ट्रैंड. बट ये कैसे बन रहा था? दिस वाज द न्यूक्लियोटाइड्स वर कमिंग फ्रॉम द साइटोप्लाज्म एंड अटैचिंग देयर बेस्ड ऑन द कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री बेस पेयर, लाइक ए को टी से, सी को जी से, ए को टी से, सी को जी से, लाइक दैट वे. इट मींस इट इज बेस्ड ऑन टेम्पलेट में कौन सा सीक्वेंस है, बेस्ड ऑन दैट माय न्यू स्ट्रैंड विल बी सिंथेसाइज्ड. इन अ सेम केस इफ यू रिमेंबर, इन अ केस ऑफ ट्रांसक्रिप्शन, अगर मुझे कोई भी mRNA बनाना है तो आई हैव टू हैव अ टेम्पलेट in a particular format. So if I want to synthesize mRNA, I need to have a template which will be in a 3' to 5' direction. फिर वहाँ पे promoter रहेगा, promoter पे मेरा RNA polymer जाके bind करेगा and now it will decide. तो okay, अगर मेरे DNA के strand में A है तो मेरे mRNA में U रहेगा. In that way it forms a complementary base pairing and then it forms the mRNA. So basically we get the DNA RNA hybrid and finally उसको हम लोग सेपरेट करके mRNA ऑब्टेन करते हैं बाय द प्रोसेस ऑफ ट्रांसक्रिप्शन। तो पूरा इस जो मैंने अभी जो बोला इतना सब चीजें, उसका एक ही मुझे बोलना है कंक्लूजन लाइन कि यहाँ पे हम लोग को टेम्पलेट की जरूरत है, ओके, एंड दैट इज व्हाट आई वांट टू कन्वे। बट इन केस ऑफ ट्रांसलेशन, genetic information is transferred from a polymer of a nucleotide to the polymer of amino acid. So there is no typical complementarity principle as such exist, okay, because in case of DNA and RNA both were nucleotides, so there was a complementarity, but यहाँ पे complementarity principle नहीं था, and that's why actually we required the adapter molecule and which was the tRNA. So it is evident that the changes in this particular nucleic acid, that is genetic material, results in a change in the amino acid of a protein, right? Because अगर मैं थोड़ा सा भी कुछ changes किया in my DNA का sequence, it will change my mRNA का sequence and it will ultimately change my protein का amino acid sequence as well. And this explains that the genetic code directs the sequence of amino acid during the synthesis of protein. So the entire story, starting from the Nirenberg-Mattei experiments till this particular line, what we were trying to explain, कि DNA codes for a particular amino acids and the amino acids actually make up the protein. Okay, so now I hope you understood what I just said and it is clear.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, if you are still having any doubt, हम लोग और discuss कर सकते हैं. There is no problem in discussing. Anything else? और कुछ?
No, sir.
Okay. So
सर ये अपना मेटाबॉलिज्म स्लो करके अपनी एज बढ़ा सकते हैं क्या?
बट वैसा हो नहीं सकता ना। इंटरेस्टिंग, बट कैसे कर